They go into full detail, and you're just sitting there like, what the hell?
All right.
I don't even know you.
What's the weirdest thing you've done today?
Right. Oh my gosh.
But the brute honesty.
We're live, by the way.
I know.
I turned our mics on. I'm trying to start the show.
Oh, we're starting
Okay.
the show.
We're live on Guydeas. Welcome to Guydeas episode 14. Guydeas returns 2 because we've returned twice now. We returned the first
Empire
time
Strikes Back.
6 months ago.
It's like we're Jesus.
To the day.
But before Jesus.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't come back for the second time yet.
It's Return of the Jedi Redux.
Anyways, we're back.
Have I done any 3 times yet?
No.
We have some stuff to talk about. We don't really have a solid plan. We're not doing the whole high production value thing. We're just trying to get this stuff done.
This is entirely
But
scripted.
yeah, we're all here. So I'm Drew.
This is
And
all
let's go
written
this
out
way.
beforehand.
Oh, shoot, wrong camera. This way.
Why didn't you just go that way?
That's
since you
Daniel.
already went that way?
already went.
That's you know what? I'm okay.
Drew.
That's Steven. Steven,
Nipples.
raise your hand. And then David and Andrew. They're not related.
Hello.
They are extremely
We
I
are
know.
definitely not related. Okay?
David's like, I have nothing
The
to do
fact
with
we have
Andrew.
the same last name is entirely coincidence.
Right.
Or
Also-
entirely on purpose.
The same mom and dad is entirely coincidence.
Just because you have the same parents doesn't mean
Yeah,
you're
that's
related.
true.
Okay.
That's true.
So how you guys doing?
Same dad. One's mom's an aunt. It's logical.
No, that's you. That's your family.
Oh man.
Oh my
Well,
God.
it's been a while. Life happens. A lot of stuff has happened. I had a baby. That's part of the small part of the
Dude,
reason.
congratulations
impressive,
for producing life.
We did not
I'm sure
know.
Gina really appreciates that. You've
Men
done
can have babies.
babies. Men can have
Science.
babies
Yes.
now.
That's
I
what
get- no,
we've
it was
learned
fact.
in 2021.
Yep.
Drew had a baby.
You had one.
It was me.
Can we
I'm the
cheers
birth
really
person.
quick, guys?
It's like Junior.
He only has 4 thumbs
Oh, you see these hands
and
coming out of
17.
nowhere?
Cheers.
These cameras a little better, but
Nope.
Steven didn't want to cheers me.
Oh, sorry.
Dude.
Okay.
You made me my drink. So,
Men can have babies. Anyway, moving on.
Wow.
yeah.
Wow,
didn't
that's
know that.
Comes out of your pee hole.
oh my gosh.
That's a really small baby.
Or it's a really big penis.
Oh man.
It's like a.
However you slice
Is
it.
it like a?
Probably wrong choice.
Well, Drew's just now known as a birthing parent.
Oh, you are a birthing person, but are you a lactating
No,
person?
no. Chest feeding.
Chest feeding. that's all.
Chest feeding.
I-
Where are
I
we
can't-
going with
I
this?
can't keep
This is not the plan that we had for the show. It's already gone so wrong.
and we are
It's gone
demonetized.
so wrong. Yeah,
Drew,
we're-
I thought we
mean,
didn't even have a plan.
Oh no,
We
So-
were monetized?
we had a
Yeah,
plan.
we were
We had a
getting
plan.
Yeah, we were.
You guys are
I,
getting
I embezzled all the money.
Ah,
That's why.
I was not.
Steven
Oh,
was
man.
in on it. He just.
Alright.
just
Oh
played
man.
So, well,
Well,
I was
so
hoping I was on
the
the
first
camera.
we had some things we wanted to talk about. As anyone watching the show remembers, which is funny because actually,
Is
if
there
you think
one
about
person
it, most of the
watching?
people that watch the show are now on the show. Like before Daniel was on the show, he
so
watched the
nobody's
show.
watching.
Before David was on the show, he watched the show. Now no one watches the show, so we're just talking to a live stream kind of emptily. But we wanted to talk about a couple.
Oh yeah, I should have shared this.
Steven is
I-
just now sharing.
I,
This is
I did it.
I didn't.
I
share
understood
It.
the assignment.
I did not understand.
What were we
I
talking
didn't
about?
even get anything.
we're gonna
to
talk.
share.
We're gonna talk about death pods and drugs. So yeah, the first thing we talked about it a little bit in our polo. So we all have a Marco Polo. That
drugs, yes. Death pods, no.
If only it was that simple.
I flipped that.
I flipped that.
Anyways, first thing we want to talk about was there's a story that came out of Switzerland today. If I put a little more time into the setup, we could have pulled it up for you. But it was in Switzerland. There's this company that released a death pod, and basically what that means is it's a little pod, like a sleeping pod that you can get in. And to get in the pod, you have to answer a series of questions. And if you answer that series of questions correctly, it lets you into the pod. You press a button, and then it slowly, well, not slowly, very quickly, in 30 seconds, fills the pod with nitrogen, therefore emptying it of oxygen, and you die.
Do we know what
So
questions
so
are?
the question is, okay, can you calculate the Pythagorean theorem? Because I feel like that should be one of them.
I'm picturing the guy from Monty Python and the Holy Grail at the bridge who asks them what their...
What is your favorite color?
Yeah, exactly.
What is your quest?
What is your quest?
Seek to find
What
the Holy
is
Grail.
the capital of Assyria?
Right.
How far
Do
can
we,
an
do
African
we know
swallow?
what kind of questions
How
they
far
are?
can a swallow fly?
So
Well, is that an African
Andrew's
swallow
trying
or
to take
a
this discussion
European
seriously. He's asking what kind of questions are. Yeah,
Who's taking it serious?
not
Drew
you.
and I.
I
Yeah.
haven't said a damn thing yet.
From what I understand, the gist of it is that they have questions that are supposed to be along the lines of determining if that person is mentally healthy enough to make
I
their
have a
decision.
question. I have a question.
Is it like math questions?
But
Does
the
it, does
people
it
who-
choke you?
Does it choke you?
Yeah.
Like, you mean the question machine or the actual machine? I don't like where you're going with this. I'm looking at you, and I just don't like where you're going
Does
with
it
this.
choke you?
Oh my
What, is it
God.
like
What kind of death
Oh,
machine?
like a
is this?
robot
doesn't choke
hand
you,
comes
yeah.
out and
Yeah.
grabs your neck?
Well,
No. No,
it's a
feels-
robot hand that grabs something else. While
Oh,
there's
okay.
a robot
No,
that chokes you.
Steven!
Stop it.
Steven is taking this
That's-
podcast to a bad
that's
place.
if you want to waste your money.
That's a different kind of pod, and they have those. They make
Amsterdam.
those in Japan.
That's the good kind of
Yeah.
death.
Oh man,
No, it fills the chamber with nitrogen, is what I
Right.
read, and then you suffocate.
Do they put
That's
those?
correct.
So from the article that you showed us, like it looked like the pod was in the middle of like open field with like the
Yeah, is that
freaking
for-
mountains
I don't
in
think
the
that's what it's
back.
gonna
Like,
I
you know,
believe that's where the prototype is, but I don't know.
I
I imagine it's
to
going to be on a street corner, like
Like-
telephone booth.
Like,
Outside of
But then when someone's in it, they're just dead until they
just a
dispose
dead
of
I'm
their
trying
body.
to call my wife, and you die.
And you die. What? Oh, that's in. That is in Futurama. The phone booths are death pods. They go in there to commit suicide, and Bender does it.
You know what?
and
That
he
makes
somehow
sense because when
drops.
with the place I saw it was Reddit, and someone made a Futurama joke that
Yeah,
I didn't get. It
it
must
is
have been about
Futurama.
the.
Well, see, now we're talking recycling though, because we got all these useless phone booths.
That's true.
I mean,
Instead of for sex,
Has anyone
now we
ever
can actually
question
use them
though?
for death.
Has anyone
Reuse-
actually ever seen a phone booth? Because I've never
Yes.
seen one.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were born when they
we were born
still
around.
I was born in. Yeah, sorry.
Where are you from?
I learned.
I'm
to,
from obviously the future where there's no phone booths.
I learned to use a phone on a rotary phone.
You know, I'm gonna be honest
Okay.
with the phone booth. That is true. I did too, actually. A
so
phone
your
booth.
family was poor too.
What's the difference between a yes? What's the difference between a phone booth back then and a death pod there? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people died in phone booths.
I guess it's a good place to.
I mean, wasn't that movie when he?
The guy got shot
yeah.
by the sniper in the
What
phone.
was
In-
that? Oh, wasn't it,
it was
called?
called- it was called
phone
phone
booth?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to
Colin Farrell.
I'm
It
just
was
trying to get
Colin
over the
Farrell. It was
fact that I've
Kiefer
never
Sutherland.
seen a phone booth, but all
Sutherland.
of you have. Like, I guess in Phoenix
What?
growing up, like we had, like I remember the,
Probably too
the little
hot.
pay phones.
It's too hot in Phoenix to have phone booths.
Right, so that's
too hot
probably
in Phoenix to have
why.
phones.
But
Yeah.
I guess we need to live in a place with snow in order to have phone booths.
I don't know.
apparently.
It's well. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
How do we go from death pods to phone booths?
Well,
You guys always do this.
Damn it!
But I mean, think about it. Like a phone booth. Like, okay, no, we can do this. But like a phone booth was originally for phones, and then it was for for defecating because that's where the homeless people
Well,
go.
it's-
Because nobody would use phone booths anymore, so the homeless would poop in there. And now they got rid of them, so now the homeless just poop on the street. So maybe these death pods would be nice to at least clean up some of the poop.
sure.
I don't think.
I think that's where
I
it's
don't
gonna
think
go,
this
right?
isn't it. No.
I don't think
They'll
that's.
go and poop in there.
You
and
think
then
people are
they'll-
going to use the death pods to die?
Which gas
Some
station?
homeless guy goes in there to poop.
So,
and it's,
you're telling me the last thing you would ever want to do on this earth is take a poo before you die?
actually,
Well, that's what happens when you die.
Well,
so.
Yeah.
if Steven's
Sometimes
if
I do.
Steven's theory is correct about the choking, maybe there's
last thing
it's
you-
like it gives you an option. What's your last request? And then the hand comes out, and
It does
I don't know what
something?
it does. It does something.
I mean, how much is this?
I'm
Do
not
we
part of
know?
this.
Do we know how
I'm
much the
not part
price
of
is?
this.
Yeah,
I-
yeah, how
Because you know
much-
what I
no.
was actually thinking?
Go ahead.
It's
Yeah.
not free. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. So this is what I thought was hilarious. Like I thought this today. Well, because we brought it up today. Could you imagine some guy going and getting a loan, or like applying for a credit card to
Well,
go pay? Like
that
they
means
have
that
no
they're gonna do
family.
credit checks
No,
now.
I'm just saying they got no
fine.
family, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a credit card for $10,000, and then they're like, yeah, you have to pay that back in 2 years, and it's like, no, I don't.
Right.
well, they probably.
Well, then they're going to
Joke's
change. What
on
they're going to
you.
do is change the law and say, "Oh, well, you have to pay back this debt if you commit suicide, because then that's just fraud."
So
I'm dead.
the article I read said that they haven't released the cost yet, and it was funny that they said that was one of the most controversial parts of this thing is how much it costs.
costs
I'm
to
like,
kill somebody?
that's what's controversial. Not the fact that we're giving people a little question and answer, yes or no quiz to commit suicide and make it legal. That part's
I'm
fine.
pretty sure a bullet's like
It's-
$3.99.
Exactly.
Oh.
I found 9 mils on the shelf the other day. I was blown away.
Guys, this
literally.
is Switzerland.
This is Switzerland.
Oh, they
Oh.
don't have guns.
No,
well,
no,
actually,
everybody
everybody
has
has
guns.
guns.
They
They
do. No,
do
they
have
do. So
guns.
that's what I'm saying. So what
but
if the
they
death
don't
pod just
have
dropped
ammo
a gun?
with their guns.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. They don't have
Yeah.
ammo.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but in the death pod, it could drop
So
a
they use
gun
it to, like-
down and it just
Oh my God.
They use them
$9.99.
to
Oh man.
beat each other.
just round
This
it up
is
to
what I get
$10.
for trying to have a serious conversation about the
$10.
moral consequences of legislation.
Is
You
it-
can pay me $20, I'll do it.
We can undercut them.
Yeah.
Wow, they're bringing
to Switzerland.
they're
We got a
they're
job.
being real capitalists.
Some people pick up.
That's
poop.
going to go over really well with my wife. Why are you moving to Switzerland? Well, there's a job venture opportunity.
Oh my gosh. It's an investment opportunity.
Which-
It's fine.
Wait, no, this
Quickly-
is my okay. I have
How
a real
quickly
question.
will this show up in Seattle?
well,
So literally,
a real question.
literally, that was my thought. So the thing is, this company's in Switzerland. This type assisted suicide without someone already dying is already legal. Like so most of the times
it's in
in America,
Seattle, isn't it, in
assisted
Oregon?
suicide.
Well,
Yeah.
Seattle's in Washington, but
no. I was saying, is it Seattle or Oregon that have
Both.
The
It's-
assisted
I think it's
both.
both.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no, no.
It's
no.
Washington,
I wasn't.
Oregon.
I wasn't
No, you're
meaning
not-
that they're
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
state.
Didn't they have that in Colorado?
Okay,
I'm not that stupid.
so some
They might,
context.
yeah. I
think they
Some
do.
context. I don't know if we do yet, but we have it in people. Like if people are already dying.
in
This
the
is how
last
it's traditionally been. Traditionally, it's been, and I disagree with this too. Traditionally, it's been if you're already dying, they can
Right.
euthanize you. I still
Right.
disagree with
Yeah,
that
I'm okay
because,
with that.
like, if I'm dying from cancer and then you kill me with cyanide, you still killed me.
Yeah.
Even if I was gonna die anyways. I think I have an issue with that. That's legal in more places than what the new thing is that started in Switzerland and is now moving to like Norway, Finland, all these other countries in Oregon and Seattle. And that's, hey, I just feel like dying. Can I
Well,
do
okay.
this? And then instead of you killing yourself, which is still illegal, which is an interesting thing to think about, it's
Why
legal
is
if a
it
doctor does it
I'm confused. First off, why is it illegal to kill yourself?
because it's murder.
But it's yourself. So, but my real question is, how many people in Switzerland, Switzerland want to kill themselves
Yeah, what's the
that are
suicide-
justifying making these machines?
What's the suicide rate
true.
in those
Like,
countries?
what are they like? Is there
Switzerland
like
is a
so
nice
many
place to
people out
live.
in Switzerland just like I hate my life and I want to die, and they're like,
Well-
hey, we've got a solution for you, and we're
So-
gonna profit.
I think it's
It's a good question.
when
because they were Nazis? at
when they
some point?
when they passed when they passed this law, the idea was that it was for people who were not depressed. So this is the really weird thing to think about. They didn't want the law to allow people who were suicidal to kill themselves because that's not
wanted-
someone who should kill themselves. They wanted it for people who
That's the only people
get this.
who ever
I
think
know
about
they
killing
wanted
themselves.
it. And I'm not. Someone fact check me, but they wanted it for people who have otherwise lives full of suffering. So like disabled people or old people.
Oh, so like
I
me.
found out my
Right.
family was
I'm
Nazis.
You're
I'm old and I'm
you're
disabled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
so-
suffering.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well,
can
and
go
that's
to
the thing.
Switzerland,
Like, what's the limits on suffering that allows that to happen? Because
over
if it's
there, I'll come
physical
out.
ailments, couldn't you just say it's mental ailments, and then all of a sudden depression is the thing that allows it? With this thing, all you have to do is post the right test answers online, and if it's just asking, "Are you depressed?" and all you have to do is hit no, and then it lets you hit a button and kill yourself. It's not like someone who's like, "Oh, they got me. I'm depressed. I should hit yes," and then it won't let me do it. They're gonna be like, "I'm gonna hit no."
Yeah, why would you, if you knew the system?
What if someone hacked
Why wouldn't you? Why would you
jeez.
lie?
Hack it.
Why would you
change
not
the
just
questions?
game the
Make it like
Right.
a really hard math question.
What is your quest? What is your favorite color?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, so I was listening to Elon Musk, and he was doing an interview, and he was asked about what?
Robot.
I know. He was asked about like, I don't know. He made some comment about, you know, it's like we need to be so there. I don't know. And someone again fact check me, but there's like, I feel like our culture in large is devaluing life at an accelerated rate. Not to even don't even need to go towards abortion, but still, we've devalued life at such an alarming rate that it's like almost as if Elon Musk made the comment, we need to still be making babies. We still need to be having offspring, because if our like Japan, for example, if our population's at a decline, it's so
Oh my god.
good luck finding a woman that's going to value being married
true.
and having a kid over a career. That's the thing,
That's
though.
not the problem there.
It is the problem.
No,
But
the problem's reversed.
no, in Asian culture,
No, not in Japan.
there's
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Is there a
Tell me,
Steven,
what's
how did
wrong?
this become about this topic?
How did we get in here? No, in Japan,
It always
the
comes
problem
back
is
to
the men
Steven.
are working too much and they put their jobs in front of everything.
I was told that women were also valuing their career over.
Some, but a lot of the women don't want to marry the men because the men are so
probably won't
entrenched
marry
in
a
their
white
jobs that
American.
They have to
Then
go drink.
I will buy you a ticket to go to Japan right
Let's
now.
do it.
how about we just
Right now, like live?
I was talking to my uncle about it. He used to go there all the time.
Daniel,
and
do it live.
They would have to drink.
Buy
And
him a
they
ticket.
actually made these hotels. They're like little sleep pods. Because a lot of
Do
people
you
would go
get
out and
to-
drink, and they would need a place to sleep because they would never make it home, and then they'd go right back to work.
And then did they turn up in Switzerland?
No, well, maybe they were dead.
no, you're
Suicide
No,
rate in
the
Japan
pods.
But
is
it's
high.
the same.
Pods.
But it's almost the same problem with China. Well, it's the same. It's an interesting problem, but it's a little bit different because of the one child only policy. Now you have all these Chinese men trying to find
Yeah, those
women, and they're trying to get married. And so we know a guy that he not I don't know. He has a whole other story, but like he married a woman that grew up here in Montrose, and so it's not uncommon for Chinese men to go out and explore the world and end up with somebody outside of their Chinese culture. So I don't know. I kind of look at this thing as another acceleration towards like decreasing our population, because everyone is saying, oh, our population's like going too rampant, like we're going to consume too many resources, there's not going to be enough, we're all going to die. But then it's like, well, no, we need to continue on as a species. We still need to reproduce.
Right. It's
But
actually
it's-
the opposite.
It's so weird because you say that, but the people. Okay, so they treat death like this awful, awful thing, and everyone's scared to die, but nobody wants to. But they're okay with people killing themselves, and they're okay with all this other stuff. But they themselves then freak out about something that kills people.
Right.
There's like a
it's-
weird
yeah.
conflict.
It's a weird.
I'm trying to. I
There's a
can't
weird
say
disconnect.
what it is, but like, there's a thing going on right now where people are scared to die, so they're freaking out, but yet they're so.
So what I would argue is that there's like a power struggle or it's a struggle of control. So, there's a difference between having, let's just say, a politician have ability to pass legislation that makes death or assisted suicide, abortion, whatever, legal, but then you're in a situation where this unknown variable that you have no control over is coming after you, and you get sick, or it's causing deaths, and so it just becomes a natural psychological, like, there is that.
But you see
that
that
conflict,
though, right?
right,
Yeah. It's like it doesn't make any sense why you are okay with these things happening, like with death, but then when it comes to you want to make sure everybody else follows this certain thing because you're scared, but then you're also the same person that would vote and say it's okay to kill yourself. So it's like you are not okay with something happening, but you're okay with that, and then you're okay with this, and it's like, and I'm being very facetious or I'm trying not to say certain things, but like. It's kind of weird how contradictory it is.
It's totally contradictory.
Oh, yeah.
I see it. It's the ultimate spiritual battle because it's the ultimate end game of atheism versus theism, for lack of a better. Because it's atheism realizing that life without a god is completely absurd, and the only thing you have control over is your own life, whether you live or die, and nothing you do matters. And so the mental illness that comes with realizing that just drives you completely insane. And the only answer is death pods on, in front of a 7-Eleven.
So the other
Ooh, you could get a Slurpee first?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, oh my God.
What flavor
genius.
would you
See,
get?
we're coming up with new ideas
I know.
here. I know where I'm putting my death pod.
You know what the best thing is? A Slurpee mixed.
Death by Slurpee.
No, this is
I'm
100% true.
investing.
Andrew can vouch for this. Slurpee, a 7-Eleven, what is
we
it?
don't have
Cherry
7-Eleven
Slurpee? Correct me if I'm wrong. Mixed with a Wendy's Frosty.
Well, it didn't matter what flavor you got. You could
Yeah.
want
Frosty, that's gross.
whatever
No, dude.
flavor you want. It was
don't even know.
you get the vanilla frosty.
Yeah, the vanilla Frosty.
You can do root
okay,
beer,
so
you
that's
can do
actually-
cherry,
okay,
you
they
can
do
do
that
blue
at Sonic.
raspberry.
Yeah.
Cream slush?
Yeah, but
ice cream and
I just
yeah,
love how
slushy.
quickly we got derailed from like serious ethical conversations
Because of 7-Eleven.
about atheism and theism to like slushies.
I'm just.
We're
Also-
talking about the important stuff
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We're talking about future investment opportunities. 7-Eleven and
I
death
want a
pods.
slushy machine.
Giving telling the people what matters.
Oh
Okay.
my God, we
Yeah.
buy a 7-Eleven and then we also buy a death pod.
And a Wendy's.
And a Wendy's. We put them next to each other.
So you're just like in
So
Zurich
now we
with
make
a-
sure we get all the money.
Perfect.
Like,
So you go to
I'm gonna
Zurich,
kill
you
myself,
get a
I'm gonna go
7-Eleven, you
some
get a
candy
Wendy's.
See, and now you're thinking like a lot of the big-
Entrepreneurship.
yeah, that's right.
Wait,
So
is
you
how
it
make
can
a
we
lot of
benefit
money.
from this?
which gas station chain is going to have these death pods first? Is it going to be 7-Eleven, Maverick, Wawa?
At this rate,
got
it's not going to be a gas
Come and go.
stations. It's
Come
going
and
to be
go.
charging stations.
Who's got the charging
Charging
station? Well, that's what I'm saying.
stations.
Who's got the charging stations at their
Genius.
gas
You
station?
charge your Tesla.
No, what you
get
do,
a Slurpee,
what you
and
do
then
is
go
you
into
open
death
up a
pod.
charge. Like, okay, if electric vehicles take off, like they say they're going to,
Like, as
getting a
fast as
having
they
a
are?
having so like, I don't know. In my mind,
that
it's
Tesla
like
Plaid
if,
takes off pretty well. You know what I mean?
So I'm just saying, like, if you have a charging station, you open up a coffee shop, you're going to be there for 20 minutes for a battery to charge. Kind of makes sense. But then if they figure out how to make car batteries like universal, you just pop out the old one, pop in the new one, takes you a few
They're
minutes.
not going to do that, though, because the battery is the entire floor of the car.
But then you're sitting in the coffee shop having an existential crisis. You decide that's it.
death pod.
And there's
Yeah.
a death pod
And
across
your
the street.
we
Tesla.
own the coffee shop.
You're welcome for this.
Monopoly.
You're welcome for the business opportunity.
These are funny jokes, but it's also becoming real, which makes it less funny. And that's
To you.
it makes it less funny to me. Well, no, and I'm serious because
No, it's sad.
it's really
The
sad.
only way to get through this is comedy
It's
because
comedy,
it's
right,
real and
right.
it's going to happen no
Yeah.
matter what.
No,
There's
it's
nothing
true.
stopping
That's good.
this.
It's true.
See, I don't think so. I don't think it
You don't think
necessarily
so.
has to happen because
No,
I
it's
think
happening.
It already
Well,
is happening.
We
so.
maybe not here, but it is happening and it's going
right,
to
right,
happen.
right.
But it's a war. It's a spiritual war.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I think
I think you're right.
Randomly to come to that, it's all about attacking God and taking it out of people's lives, and that's where like this whole like life and death thing doesn't make any sense. Like they contradict themselves. It's because they don't believe in something, but yet they fear death.
Can we just take a moment and think about like, okay, so we talked a lot about like the atheist point of view and how that can warp their
Oh, we can go deeper.
right. Well, I'm just saying like, so what are the benefits though of like with us? It's so for me, you know, every single day when I go to work, I'm in, you know, I kind of have to know the news and what's going on in our world just because that's just the business that I'm in. But then like, it's just so easy to get overwhelmed, and I sit there and I go home and I'm stressed, I'm tired, whatever, but then I sit there and I think, you know, it's like, you know what, all this sucks right now, but at least there is hope. And I got like, I feel like as easy as it for every single one of us to fall into some kind of mental illness, whether that's, you know, just by stress, normal stressors and stuff like that, it's easy to kind of fall back on something that's greater than you, that you can believe in, and that gives you hope and that gives you value. And, you know, kind of going on Jordan Peterson's rants, or not rants, but like his perspectives on, like, he hasn't really openly said he believes in God, but I'm getting that vibe from him.
Oh no, he's Christian.
Well, right. No,
His
that's,
daughter is openly Christian. I don't
No,
know.
he is
Yeah.
too. He said,
is
"I
he-
can't believe I believe in Jesus."
right.
I think he's kind of come to that sort of reluctantly, but like,
Oh yeah. No,
Well,
he's
because
there.
just the way
He's
his
there.
mind has
Yeah.
been wired over the years as
Yeah.
a psychologist, but then I
want to switch your guys' cameras. Keep talking.
I just feel like with him, it's like, you know, a guy like him that's just seeing all the chaos and all the evil and all the crazy and all the psychological messed up things in the world, the only way I feel like for guys like him, and even for every single one of us, to be able to go through this experience called life is with something that gives you hope. And for us, it's God. And for me, it's like I don't have to know every single thing. I don't need to be perfect. I mean, I should strive to be perfect, but I know that even if I F up, it's like it's not the end of the world. You know, there is still grace. And so that's kind of what gives me. And I feel like with these death pods, it's just giving people a very cheap, easy out.
You say cheap, but it might
Yeah.
be.
It could be really expensive. So I think one of the things
I stand corrected.
it's like $20,000.
Oh my god.
I can
You
buy.
can pay in Bitcoin.
I can buy
you
a
can
new.
pay in
no,
Bitcoin, don't
here's-
worry.
No, here's my
Hold
thing.
on.
If I'm gonna die for $20,000, I would rather buy like
rather
a
rent
used
a
Tacoma and drive off of a cliff because that's way more badass
rent
than
a Ferrari.
going into
What
a
if-
freaking.
And drive under a semi.
That's more badass than going into a pod asking a couple
I'm
questions
just saying,
and
if,
then dying.
if I'm going to kill myself, I want to go out in style.
What if they make it super? What if they make it super expensive to?
Then
As a
what-
way
no,
to,
but
like-
see, that doesn't
They
work,
won't do
though.
that. They want to make
Because
money.
they got to make money.
Yeah, that's
the whole
true.
thing about this. The
Here's-
funny fact
here's my
about this
question.
is all about money.
That's a good
Here's
point.
an idea.
They wouldn't make it if they didn't make profit.
What if there was economic incentives? Let me just throw the idea out
To
there.
kill yourself?
No. Let's say there's economic incentives to keep people alive. So your credit card idea. Someone takes out a credit card for $20,000. Let's say there was a rule or a law that said, okay, if someone takes out a credit card, uses
see-
that borrowed money to kill themselves, the family or the direct family or the nurse
Is responsible.
is responsible.
Well, I mean,
and
that's
has
how it
to
is
pay.
now. So it's like,
How is it? How is that?
huh?
If I die with student loans, those student loans don't get passed on to anybody.
Student
Those
unless-
loans are special. though.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
Anything-
saying.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's like
Anything-
special laws applying
yeah.
to financial debt instruments.
Right.
But when I was making that joke, they would make sure someone was at the back end to pay that bill.
Right.
I don't know. Somebody
Because when
correct
you
me.
die, who pays your funeral
If
costs?
you have like a bunch
who
of credit,
pays your
if you have a bunch of credit card debt and you
That-
die, I don't know if
Your
that
home?
passes to your.
I think
to
it
your,
does.
It does.
your-
It's like
Some
your
of those
home.
can. I don't know
Your
which ones
home.
can or
Like
can't.
if you die, and
Daniel,
you
this is
owe
your
money
job to
on
know
your-
this stuff.
If you die and you owe money on your home, whoever inherits that inherits the debt that goes
Right.
along with it.
well, but they.
Yeah.
and that's
so-
why most people sell
No,
because they
no,
can't
because-
afford.
Yeah, it depends what insurance you have.
No, because okay, so like on houses you can do beneficiary deeds. And so when you die, that house gets passed on to you. Now, typically, you're going to have some form of equity in the house.
Yeah.
If I co-sign a loan, if my son goes to college and I co-sign his student loans, if he dies, I co-sign the loan, I have to take the brunt of that. So there has to be some way to either for you to inherit an asset like a beneficiary deed, a transfer on death, a beneficiary, whatever, or you had to co-sign or put your name somewhere on the debt itself
Right.
in order to inherit it. Other than that, if you have student loans and as long as no one else co-signed for it,
Right.
you die, it's gone.
It's just written off.
It's
yeah,
it's a sunk
it's-
cost to the investors.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy.
Oh my
So,
gosh,
I-
Daniel.
There was a question that was raised earlier about what's the economic benefit to living, or what's the economic benefit to any of this.
I
People,
actually think it's better that people die economically.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. The people doing this have a benefit to people dying, because the people dying are gonna be the people that, let's be honest, they know that the people that are going to get through are going to be the people who are depressed, that are suicidal, that are supposedly not allowed to use this machine, which doesn't make any sense. There should be the machine just shouldn't exist morally. Let's just be real,
yeah,
right?
I agree.
It just shouldn't exist. It's evil. It desecrates the sanctity of life. It spits in the face of the fact that we carry the divine image within us. Not even to go down that theological road, but holy crap, it's awful. More than that, though, the people that are behind this type of thing, we earlier were talking about the contradiction between the thing that's happening now that people want to save their life from, and then this type of thing that they want to end lives over. The reason that all of that is so crazy is because we exist in a postmodern world that doesn't value the sanctity of life in any capacity. That's why there's people trying to upload their brains into computers to live forever, because they don't value the fact that we are designed to die. in the same sense that the people who want to die don't value the fact that we're designed to live as long as we live naturally. In the same way that there's people who don't respect the fact that our bodies are frail and get sick. All of it comes out of the root of anti-humanism. Our culture in the West generally dislikes the limitations of being human in the flesh, and they either want to transcend them or end them early.
So there was one thing I was going to bring up too. Years ago in college, I took an economics class, and my professor was
You took one economics class?
I've
took
taken
an economics class in
no
high school.
no I took 2.
I took one.
I tested out of economics.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Why aren't you an economist?
Because
too good for it.
Anyway,
Too good for the economy.
right?
Yeah, economics.
I found
Right.
I tested out in
Anyway.
kindergarten.
much
So-
less
Right into
worthwhile
kindergarten, too.
ways to waste my
That's what they
time.
called it.
Yeah.
So I had this professor bring up like he noticed that it's very interesting how there's cultural differences between here in the United States. I mean, we the amount of money in the medical industry is astronomical. We spend a lot of money keeping people alive. Like 80, 90, 100-year-old people alive. The drugs, the medical advancements, the surgeries, the organ replacements, all that jazz. Where what he noticed was that was here in America, but in other cultures, it's like, okay, you're 80 years old, you lived a good life, and it's just, okay, we'll make you comfortable, and then they just naturally pass. And so it's kind of interesting to think about how one culture like us, we really try to focus and strive to keep life going, but in other cultures, it's like, you're 89 years old, you have pancreatic cancer or whatever. It's like, why are we going to spend all this money and time and energy and resource into prolonging your life when you're, I hate to say it, we're all going to die at some point, you know what I mean? So it's almost, I hear what you're saying, Drew. Like, I think we need to be valuing life, but at the same time, what makes it so different for us is that we have hope and know and believe where we're going at the end of the ride. And so death is very it's real, but it becomes a point. It's the hope that comes with, I'm going to, if when I leave this earth, I know I'm going to a better place where I don't have to deal with the physical ailments that we experience in life. Whereas, and I feel like that's kind of what other cultures are really doing well, is understanding, you lived a good life. There's, you're going to die. Not, we're going to miss you, but all that jazz. But
I think the other thing too is we don't have any positive value of suffering in Western culture anymore.
Agreed.
Like suffering is this thing that needs to be eliminated utterly. Like people just shouldn't suffer in any capacity, which is
hard times make strong men.
Yeah,
good
right,
times
right,
make
seriously.
weak men, and
it's that cycle. And I think not to be too pessimistic, but this is a straight up Jordan Peterson quote as well. Suffering is the one guarantee in this life, and to which degree you suffer will vary from person to person. Results may vary, but everyone will suffer. Everyone will die. They will experience pain. They will experience heartbreak. The beautiful things in life are the fragile things in life, and that's why they need to be protected. That's why they need to be preserved and celebrated. We live in, so Pope Francis calls it a throwaway culture. All of the things that are beneficial and beautiful are thrown away. Life, newborn life especially. I mean, there have been like 400 million abortions since Roe v. Wade was the legal standard. And just in America. That's just in America. The percentage of babies that are killed is insane. And if you look at that demographically, it gets even worse. All that to say that the beautiful and fragile things of this world are not protected. And as a result, we try to throw away our suffering. But in doing so, we throw away beautiful things as well. Because sometimes beautiful things come explicitly through suffering. Sometimes the best things in life, character formation, children, are paired with suffering. And those are kind of a weird two to pair together. But think about some of the most successful people you know. How many of the most inspiring stories are people who struggled and had a lot of suffering and found a way to use it to their advantage. That's the most inspiring story you've ever heard whenever you hear it. But if we eliminate all suffering, you don't hear that story. You hear the mundane person who just hits themselves with dopamine over and over and lives a meaningless existence where they're high on either an actual drug or some sort of stimulant of experience that just gives them this falsified sense of security and no real substantive meaning.
Well, it's a great paradox because it's like, okay, this is a way oversimplified example, but take baseball.
Sorry,
Go
I
into
didn't realize I
sports.
was in that camera.
Take baseball. You've got the reason that baseball playoffs are so great, so emotional, and so just spectacular, and they grab you. If you're into baseball, if you're not into baseball, whatever.
Grab you by the balls.
Yeah, go find something better to do. But it's because the season is so long. It's 162 games. It's forever. It takes 162 games to get to the playoffs. So when you finally get there, you've struggled 162 games to get there. So it means something when you win a series in the playoffs and when you win another series and when you win the World Series. It's a big deal because it took you, it's like climbing a mountain. It really is.
I feel like so other than life, I feel like what's kind of on the cusp of our conversation, what's really undervalued is the suck. When we go through the suck.
The suck.
Steven. Never mind.
The grind.
The grind.
The grind. When we
Oh,
go.
we can make
That's
that
worse. I feel like that's worse.
You want it to be.
Damn it. No, I'm saying like when
yeah.
life is really hard and we go through those hard times or those really tragic
Get that
moments.
dirt on our knees.
Monologue for a minute. You need another beer?
Yes, please.
Anyone else?
Yep.
What kind?
Modelo.
Whatever.
Modelo.
Water?
But yeah, you're absolutely
you're right.
But so like okay, we sit here and we do everything we can to have ourselves a comfortable life, and I feel like the greatest success stories are the ones of like, okay, you're the guy that grew up in South Central LA, you're the guy that grew up in Chirac and there were gunshots around Chicago. That's what the kids on the internet call it.
Nice.
But so Chirac.
Wow, are
growing
you
up
80?
in Clifton.
Yeah, pretty
Oh
much.
my god.
Yeah, maybe.
So
So
those kids on the internet these days calling it Chirac. Oh,
no,
man.
but it's there's a lot to be said to go through hard times.
Yeah.
And the
Absolutely.
character and the growth that comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to the guys that have the businesses with the good work ethic and they poured their blood and sweat into things because they had no choice. They had to either go to work and provide for their family, or they didn't eat that night.
Right. There's no triumph without struggle.
Hunting is a great
hunting's
example
a
of
good
this.
example.
Because what do you do hunting? Usually you have to go out. If you're doing it right, you go out, you scout for forever. You look at freaking this landscape, and you might not see anything. You might see a ton of animals,
Donkey.
and then you just glass, and you hope you see something. Like, hopefully these deer or elk or whatever it is that you're hunting for, they'll be there when your season starts.
We're talking about struggle. We're talking
then-
about how like hard times bring up like character and growth and how we devalue that. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So your season comes, you get up at like some ungodly hour. It's still dark out, and you go climb a freaking mountain, hoping to see an elk or a deer or a
for
moose,
water or anything.
and then you might have to go do it the next day.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
you
the
guys
next
want a
day,
beer? But
yeah,
everybody else?
and the next day,
can't
I
drink
didn't get one.
Everybody else?
Well,
Yours doesn't come with a lid on it.
You
Hey,
might,
sorry.
you might have to do that for multiple years in a row
Several,
before you even
yeah,
get something.
Yeah, multiple, and then you
I
get
can
it.
vouch for that.
Steven can vouch for it. It's
I
been a
have
while
yet to
since
get
I've
mine.
killed anything.
I mean, besides
It's-
a person.
So yeah, it but then when you do, you shoot your animal, you fill that tag. It is an incredible feeling.
It's
so
It's a
Caitlyn
triumph.
Jenner has killed more.
yeah,
Or
it's a
did
triumph.
She kill someone, or
It's
did she
incredible.
hit someone with her car.
It's not a triumph when you go to Texas and you pay a guy $1,000
OJ killed more
to hunt
people
an
than I have
elk
killed
inside
elk.
of a high fence,
Right.
reserve
Right.
where the elk is captive. Nobody cares. You're
Nobody
just
cares.
shooting
That's
some
shooting
livestock
fish in
at
a
that.
barrel.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it matters when you got to climb a mountain, and not only do you have to climb a mountain, you got to sneak up on an elk, which is impossible. Then you, if you shoot it and you kill it, then you got to hump the elk, which is like 300 pounds.
You have to
Did
hump
you
it?
say hump the
Hump
elk? Or
the
hunt
elk?
the elk?
You gotta take it down the mountain.
What's it called?
Now
when
I'm
you-
gonna sneak
what is-
up there and I'm gonna jam my thumb up its butt.
That was the wrong.
I have a
What's it called? Sex with dead bodies?
I have
don't
my own
remember.
celebration.
Necrophilia. That's what I'm
I have my own celebration when I kill it.
bestialic
This is we were talking about the sanctity of life, and now they're talking about bestiality.
I actually,
This is such a-
I
necrobestiality.
fail.
have something like actually to say. That's not a joke.
I just cut to a black camera. That didn't work.
Whoa.
It didn't. Nothing was in there.
So are we, nothing in it. There's nothing in that blackness.
Wow. It looked like this, Daniel. That's what I did. You see,
Okay.
I cut to a black screen.
Okay. Go
What
ahead.
do you got, Steve?
Okay, so I want to go back to that whole discussion of profit. You know, like we live in a culture where we celebrate being out of shape and being I'm not trying to be mean, but like
You saying I'm winning?
Are you fat shaming me?
I'm fat shaming everybody. No, but we live in a culture where all of a sudden you can be out of like extremely overweight and unhealthy, but now we're healthy. And so going back to the whole like cost, who does it when you go to an insurance company? Who do you think costs more money? Someone who dies sooner or someone who lives
Sooner.
longer?
Sooner. Oh no! Someone who lives longer
I
costs
disagree.
more money.
Yeah,
Someone
Sorry,
who
I was
lives
saying it's
longer-
cheaper to die sooner.
It's cheaper. So who benefits off these death pods?
Dude, Kellogg's too.
but
They
I'm just
benefit
saying,
too.
Well, Kellogg's. But I'm just saying, like the insurance companies,
Insurance companies.
have this, and it's. I would just don't even look at the death pods. Look at how they're
health
treating
insurance, that'll get me
health
mad. Yeah.
right now. Is they want people to die sooner so they don't have to pay for them longer.
All while the pharmaceutical companies want you to live on their drug.
Well,
I mean, that
So-
I'm just,
well,
I'm just saying.
You're
there's
either
a
gonna
weird
live
conflict.
high or you're gonna die early.
well, that's my point though.
Right.
But who benefits for people dying sooner is the
Right.
people that have to pay that bill, and it's the insurance
Right.
companies. They benefit from someone dying sooner than living forever.
Chase
and
the
we
money.
Live in a, okay, so going back into your thing about other cultures appreciate life or whatever, like when you're older, but like we also live in a culture where once you get to a certain age, people say, "See you later, go live in this home." Instead of what it used to be is you
yes,
take
live
care
with your
care of
parents.
grandma.
Honor thy father
you
and
take
mother.
care
Yeah,
and some cultures do this.
we should.
We don't. So it's like we have this whole dynamic to where once, and I get to a certain point, you probably, and you know this better than any of us, is at some point we cannot provide the right care for some people.
Yeah.
But I feel like we just shove people once it gets
As soon
to a
as they
certain-
get
as soon as
inconvenient.
as soon as, not even inconvenient, but it's like you just shove people away. And I say this not from experience, but from experience, is when you don't want to deal with something, you just go, you know what, go live on your own, do this.
Yeah,
but it's
but-
like, and then instead of taking, but I'm just getting to the point of like where cultures are different. We used to take care of the elderly
Okay.
like we took care of kids. We don't do
Hold
that
on.
anymore.
Well,
But-
go ahead.
Okay, so well, you guys know, but I work in a nursing home, and so I specifically work in the memory care unit. So with like patients that have severe and advanced different types of dementia. It gets to a point where these they love the vast majority of these kids that are sending their parents to the nurse. They love their parents. They are doing it out of love because they can no longer take
that's
care
what I'm saying.
of
There is an
I am
exception.
well, that's what I'm trying to go towards. Is like, and that's exactly the point I was going to bring up. So my wife and I, we both work full-time jobs. We have a 2-year-old son. We got another one on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have to deal with taking care of an aging parent that has whatever health issue. So it's not just, I don't know if you're coming from a socialistic cultural sense, but I'm saying from a cost of, or not cost, but like an economic perspective, it's very difficult for me to be like, oh, I got to take care of this client. Oh, but I got to take my mom to go to the doctor for physical therapy. Whatever.
I'm going on a cultural.
Unpopular opinion. This is why. I'm gonna piss all of you off. This is why
Where's my gun?
This is why a just wage is one that a single earner can provide for a whole family,
I agree.
including their parents.
I 100%
I'm not
agree.
saying there's an easy way to get there. I'm saying there's a possible way to get there.
I'm just saying we just
what is
got
it?
done
What's
talking
a
about.
just
Stop.
wage?
Yeah,
what's a
explain what
just
are you talking about?
wage?
Just
Yeah.
wage.
I mean that a just system.
A just system.
I'm gonna sound socialist. I am meaning the opposite of socialist. I am advocating for ownership to a degree that not even our economic system allows. I think that the average person should own their means of production to such a degree that a single earner can provide for their children and their aging parents. I think it's possible.
So, wait.
I think that we'd have to have a lot of cultural changes in how we do business, and we'd have to have a
that's
lot more
where-
localized supply chains and small businesses. But that's what I mean.
But that
if
also
everyone was a
takes-
small business
Okay, I
owner,
get yours.
And that also takes some government out.
it takes a lot of government out because who's
So
footing
much
the
government.
But so my thing is, so my whole point of this is, we just talked about suffering. Wouldn't that be one of the suffering? Is I have to take care of my child, but
they
also,
wiped your ass, so you
But
might
I
as well
also
wipe
have
theirs.
to take care of my parents.
Yeah, that's part
Get
of
a watch.
suffering.
That's 8:02.
I was just trying to figure out how long we've been going because I know we got another time.
well,
another
We've been
subject to go
going
into.
47 minutes.
Okay.
But so my
Still
point
good,
is,
though.
we just got over this whole suffering thing, and everyone agrees that you need suffering to achieve and to prosper or I don't know,
Grow, mature
But then we just went, well, once it gets too hard, I don't want to deal with it.
That's
because my point is, as a culture, we
Steven's right.
we take the hard thing and push it off to somebody else, even though we should take care of our own. And I know that, and my point isn't, I'm not like blind to the fact that there are circumstances and things get hard.
You can need
but
help. That's fine.
You can need help, but we live in a society where we just shove something off to the next person because we don't want to do the suffering of that part. We want to
I
suffer
completely
on
agree.
so much other stuff. Oh, I have a kid and I have to take care of a kid, but I can't take care of my parents. My parents did it, but I can't do what they did.
Yeah. So, okay, the reason this happens, everything we're talking about, all of this, it comes down to one cultural facet. What is the peacekeeping mechanism of Western liberalism? And when I say liberalism, I mean the movement of the 17th century Enlightenment liberalism that is left and right are both inculcated in this.
Freedom?
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Marijuana.
That's an amazing answer. Yeah, but we're allowed to agree with each other. We radically disagree with each other. In any society in history where that's happened, it usually leads to civil disobedience and chaos. What is different about our society that doesn't happen?
Christ.
No.
Booze.
At the root of it.
No.
Christ.
No, I disagree.
Oh, really?
I'm not talking about
freedom of
historically
speech?
in the West. Okay, freedom of speech meaning what? So
Freedom.
you say something that really offends me and I can't do
allowed
anything
to
to
say
you
that.
about it.
Yeah.
What I have
Bill
to
of Rights.
tolerate that. The peacekeeping mechanism of liberal societies is not Christ. It's not freedom. Well, it's a definition of freedom. It's tolerance. And I'm serious. I'm going to blow your minds here. The left and the right both keep peace through tolerance. The right says, leave me alone. The left says, you must accept me. Both of them keep peace through tolerance, not through love, not through charity, not through long suffering, but for leave me alone or you must tolerate me. But that doesn't actually produce cohesive communities, because if all we're doing is tolerating the things we hate about each other, at some point we're going to break, and then we're going to go, well, where we're going, which is towards chaos.
Yeah, we're seeing that now because a lot of the left is saying we do not tolerate your different views. Like,
I thought we were supposed to be accepting and tolerant of other people's views and be more inclusive.
No,
Until.
that's what critical race theory is all about. Is if you're not anti-racist, then you are a racist.
Oh man, we're gonna get canceled.
As soon,
We're back.
as soon as you say I'm not racist,
Let's switch over to Rumble.
right? Yeah. As soon as you start saying I'm not racist, that's just proof that you're racist. And so there's no it becomes this circular
There's
thing.
not even tolerance.
There's no tolerance to opposing.
There's no
views.
tolerance to tolerance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's an interesting paradigm.
There's no tolerance for intolerance, meaning that if I disagree,
I don't even think there's tolerance.
oh,
for
yeah, no, I
tolerance.
think you're right. But like, so, but this is the paradigm. This is the paradigm of our whole world. It isn't just the left.
No,
It's the
entire
right
world.
too. They keep the goal of the GOP for the past 50 years has been just get your hands out of my wallet in my bedroom, which is still tolerance.
Don't touch my no-no.
It's still tolerance. It's just a different means of expressing it. And I guess what I'm saying is that this is a really radical claim. You can't have a cohesive society based on leave me alone or you must accept me. Cohesive society, you have to have a shared narrative, a shared purpose, and a shared story. We have none of that because all we do is tolerate everyone's stupid, inconsistent idiosyncrasies that make them unbearable to us.
And that's the thesis, I think, of like guys like Matt Walsh from Daily Wire, where he
Exactly
said,
right.
like because when we first started off as a country, it was about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. You know, what is our shared cohesive
some people
beliefs.
disagreed over that, though. Even from the beginning, some people wanted
I think
freedom to mean tolerance, and others wanted
I
it to
think
mean
the
what it has
problem
historically
with
meant.
the U.S. and going back to there is it all started with "Leave Me Alone."
A lot of it did.
So it's like it was we don't want to be a part. Like they came over here and then all of a sudden we're getting taxed for something. I can't remember.
T. Yeah.
T.
So
Taxation
You
without
want to know what's funny?
School
It was a
person.
4% tax increase.
I'm
They
just
started
saying,
a revolution over a 4%
4%.
tax increase.
I'm just saying we broke away
Inflation's a real
and made our
bitch.
own country trying to say "Leave us alone."
To be fair, the king was a dick.
I get that, but I'm just saying our whole country was based off of "Leave me alone."
So there-
meaning
yeah,
everybody
liberalism.
Leave me alone. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do, but leave me alone. So then we don't have a society
Now,
that agrees.
are you saying it's liberalism or is that libertarianism?
No,
Because
it's-
That's the same thing.
Same
so
thing.
so when we say
Yeah.
liberals in 2021, we
It's
mean the
not
left,
what-
But
left.
the classic definition of liberal
And
is the
libertarian.
libertarian ideal of freedom through tolerance.
All
And
of
that's
us-
what I'm saying is the
yeah.
order that all of Western society since the 1700s, you have two extremes of it. You have the U.S., which exhibits the right, the liberal right, which is the GOP today, leave me alone. And then you had France, which is the liberal left. Tolerate us or else we will kill you and rape nuns in the streets. That's what they did. They literally killed the clergy and the kings and they raped nuns in the streets because they weren't being tolerated. Those are the two wings of the liberal system that we live in today.
Oh, you don't agree with me? I'm gonna rape you.
well, that escalated quickly.
Anyways, I'm
But
just
it's true.
it's the historical reality we find ourselves in, and what I'm saying is there's a lot of beneficial things to some of these views, but when tolerance is the only mechanism of peace, you're gonna fail. It's going to lead where it's leading, which is one of two ways:
Civil war.
the radical left or the radical right. And when you have a country that's only those two, you're screwed. To bring that back to our original discussion. Tolerance. When we can no longer tolerate someone, we either force them to tolerate us or we distance ourselves. So when our parents are old and hard to take care of, we distance ourselves. That's what we do.
So, sorry to go back to this death thing before we jump to I don't remember what.
Drugs.
Oh yeah, drugs.
We already kind of talked about it with pharma.
But I was just, is Switzerland do they have a healthcare system like a free? What is it? Free healthcare?
Obamacare.
Whatever.
You mean like a universal?
Yeah, is it
like
universal
yeah.
in Sweden? or
let me look.
Switzerland?
Let me look.
No
You should look that up because
I wouldn't be
my
surprised.
question to that is, well, all of a sudden, do you think they can't afford universal health care? And so they come up with these death pods because they want people to die because they can't afford to take care
so
of people.
here's another thing. I don't have data or I just read this.
People are just looking at me, looking at articles.
I don't have
Look at my face.
I don't have data to back this up, but from what I hear, people age 65 and older make up about 16-17% of our population. That same people group or demographic made up about 80% of the COVID deaths. Because of those premature COVID deaths, it saves the Social Security Administration an estimated $50 billion in basically pension liability.
Dang.
So I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on and say good day, considering the fact that two-thirds of the $29 trillion of national debt we have is made up of Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, but 50 billion out of 29
True.
trillion is not
Really that much, but
percentage.
still, it makes you think.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
To who is that
But-
not a lot?
Now,
we
so,
look at-
so
sorry.
healthcare in Switzerland is universal and regulated, but
Uh-oh.
there are no free state-provided health services. Everything is private but compulsory. So it's like Obamacare in that sense.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, so it's like Obamacare. It's not like the UK or Canada where they have the
Death panels.
the NHS or whatever, where it's universal
Counterpoint-
but government funded.
Counterpoint to you, I don't disagree. I wonder if a large majority of that percentage of deaths that's older folks it's like, well, they died of COVID in April, but they were going to die of kidney failure in October. So
Right.
how much? Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Are we talking COVID deaths? We're so getting canceled.
No, I
We're
know,
so getting
man.
canceled.
I'm just saying.
We're not-
50
I'm not.
We're
I'm not.
getting
I'm not
canceled.
disagreeing
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you. I'm
Billion.
just saying, assuming that everything's
Yeah.
kosher, the amount of money that because I have a client that works for another. He has a little side gig where he he reads over like reviews for retirement homes, and he was telling me it's like last year people were pissed off with their mom, their dad, their grandma, whoever dying because they got COVID and kick the bucket. But I mean, again, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying it's like if you got the nail that's already halfway in.
Yeah.
I mean, what's COVID is how many more swings of the hammer is COVID?
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. No.
It's just different. It's just interesting
Yeah.
to think about because, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm looking at birth rates.
Uh-oh.
Do they?
Anyway, drugs.
Do the death pods have? Is there like a?
Did they play music?
How do they get the bodies out? Is there like a?
I was thinking that too. Like,
So Celine Dion, as you're dying from the song that she did for the Titanic.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, while you're,
Do you get to choose which song you listen to as your?
Oh.
Yeah, and then is there a garbage?
Guys,
like a
look at this.
garbage
Guys,
style
guys,
truck with
guys.
Like a fork.
Yeah, does it?
and
Right?
like,
whose job is it?
This is the birth rate in Europe from 1960 to now.
What the hell?
Not great.
No, it went from 2.5,
exponential
which is
decay?
historically low, all the way down to 1.5.
Wait, we're supposed to be going the opposite direction.
So this is
are we
this
going
is
up?
We're supposed to be going up.
this
There's more
is my
people.
exact point. It's like how can we sustain a population?
can't.
How can
Huh?
You can't.
Yeah.
exactly?
you can't.
We should be going up. We can't what?
I'm saying how can you sustain a population or an economy or a people group or a nation when the birth rate is like declining? This is my issue with Japan. So I'll go into a little bit of economics. Japan has been pointed to, okay, they have low interest rates, they've been printing money and injecting it into the economy, but their economy's doing okay. I would argue that the reason why they're able to get away with that is because their population's been on a decrease for several decades. So they can get away with...
Oh my God, guys. In 1959, what do you think the birth rate in the U.S. was per woman? How many children per woman?
I'd probably
on
say 5
average?
or
Wait,
6.
wait, is that based off
4.3?
ethnicity?
A little bit less. You're closer.
Is that based off?
No, this is just general.
Oh.
This is just general.
Hispanics is probably really high.
Yeah, the general birth rate of the average U.S. person, it's 3.58 in 1959.
Okay.
What do you think it is today in the United States?
0.8.
0.9.
Less than
You're all a little bit low. It's 1.8.
Oh, it's off by
But still, here's 1.8 means less than 2. That means less than a sustainable
Are you
rate of
saying
reproduction.
One of those kids isn't even equal to one.
One of those kids.
It's a half kid.
Gosh.
His
Welcome
one
to-
Are you
arm.
trying to say
Welcome
I'm
to
not
statistics,
1/4 the
Steven.
kid, half the Nateless?
Well, what it means is that both. So the first statistic I looked up that showed that Europe in general has a 1.5 rate per
So why
woman.
are people worried? Okay,
So
why are people worried about overpopulation when we are?
they're only going to be
gradually-
worried about it for the next 20 years.
No, I'm
and
just
then
saying,
they're
but
gonna be freaked out about it.
we are gradually getting less, but we're scared about overpopulation at the moment.
No,
Exactly
nobody's
my point.
really scared about. Well, they
No, it's
were
not
scared
true.
about. No, some people are because some dude.
were,
I can't
and
remember
now
his
we're
name.
gradually
He wrote a
decreasing.
book called "The Population Bomb" in
Well,
the
that's why-
90s. That it's been mostly debunked.
Well, that's why Elon Musk is saying we need to have kids. We're going to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
Elon
It's
Musk
true.
just became like the most pro-life
But I'm
guy
just saying-
overnight
but
because
I'm
he was
just
saying we
saying,
need to have children.
He just came out saying that because a lot of people are saying
Doesn't-
we have too many kids, we can't sustain ourselves on this planet, even though there is so much land
Doesn't
that
there?
is unoccupied.
Doesn't he have like 20 kids or something
He has
like
a
that?
lot of kids.
He does. He has like 6, I think, but still, he has.
It's like
and
he's
one of
above
them
average.
is named a
Are they named
number.
different?
I tell
numbers?
people my financial plan is so Jamie and I will have like 12 kids, and then like when we're
Jamie, are you? I think Jamie's our only viewer. What do you think about this?
yeah, so we'll have 12 kids, and then so when we're retired, we won't need a mortgage. We just live with one kid 1 month out of the year.
No, see,
This was literally
What
the
you did.
social security of
You
the
had
ancient world,
kids
though,
to
so you're
work.
not off far.
you had kids to work.
That's
and
also
they
true.
worked and they got
On the
older and
farm,
then they
yeah.
took over
Yep.
and they took care of
Then you
you
died.
and then they had kids to work.
But also back then,
It's a
like,
pyramid
people weren't
scheme. That's
living,
what it is.
People weren't living that long back in the day. So
Some people did.
Yeah, like the average life expectancy like has gone up dramatically.
up so far.
Hasn't
I
it
know.
gone down lately? I thought it was
Yeah,
going
but it's
down.
still really old. Like in comparison to the ancient world, it's really old.
So
Really
my
old.
Like
great
all of us would be like on our deathbed.
my great grandmother
I'm already on my deathbed.
Not really, but
my great grandmother on my dad's side was like 15 when she got married and had kids, but she was a widow by like 18. It was a different world back
Yeah.
then, and you'd like we were all saying it was the life expectancy. But again, she lied about having a high school diploma so she can work as a nurse at a local hospitals. But
Dang.
back then, when you could get away with it, so it was just a completely different world. But then, like you were saying, the economic system, you had to have a lot of kids because then that was who was going to help you plow the fields and like was whatever economic system you were drawing up, Drew, about how it's all based on local business, local supply chains.
Distributism.
you have a lot of kids. 'cause
Distributism.
half of them died when they were like
But
one.
okay,
That's
so,
why you have lots.
But here's my question:
So,
and
like-
they die at one because you worked them too hard.
So unless, jeez. So like, if I'm Elon Musk, it's like, okay, I can get away with having a boatload of kids because I have the resources to feed them and to educate them and all that jazz. I don't think the average American has that.
No.
I mean, I think it was funny.
Go for 3.
Jamie and I were when we were dating. I said, I
back
came
to
from
your
a.
point.
What's that?
Goes back to his point.
What's his
Right.
about the
That's an
income
injustice.
thing?
Yeah.
The just wage.
Yeah,
So
the just wage thing.
how
Well,
do
that's
you
what I
do
mentioned
that?
earlier.
Drew,
So
how do you do a just wage?
When you hear that word, you think mandatory minimum wage. That's not what I mean.
That's not, no.
Keep going.
No, but-
I will address the
yeah.
question.
So what I'm saying is that like, man, what was I talking about?
You're talking about raising 12
Jamie.
kids is expensive.
Oh yeah,
Jamie
yeah, yeah.
said
So
something.
like when Jamie and I were dating, like I came from a house of 3 boys and the chaos that came with it. I told Jamie, look, I want 1 kid, no more than 2, and she's like, I want 4, and so it's like, all right, we're gonna have 3 kids, but then she's like, I don't want an odd number of kids. We have to have an even number of kids. And I'm like,
So they can't gang up on each other. It's a smart move.
yeah, right.
Smart
So, well, I mean,
They can
it's
still
it's
gang up on each other.
always
That's
gang
4
up.
against 1 now.
Yeah.
3 against
Either
1.
way.
2.
So what I'm saying is
2
that-
on 2 team tag team. And then it's like battle royale. One of them's like
Well-
switch teams.
So what was weird is I'm the oldest of 3 boys, but I was like 8 years older than my first brother. So there was way big age gap, and then 19 months later was my youngest brother. So they're closer together because they were like the same age group, but I was here,
Little twerps.
yeah, I was a little.
Okay.
So go ahead,
So-
do your thing.
I have a grand scheme to make the world a decent place. And
At least decent.
it involves cultural change, not governmental change.
Let me point out before you launch in, weirdly, you know who wrote a book about this?
Who?
Elizabeth Warren.
Oh
Wrote a
man,
book.
now I hate it.
I know.
No,
She
now I
wrote
want
a
us
book.
to fail.
Someone
So wait, about what?
None
About
of us would
what?
agree with. She wrote a book in
Pow Wow
like
Cow?
either the early 2000s or the late 90s called The 2 Income Trap, and it was
Oh, yeah,
all
she used to
about
not be crazy.
exactly what you're about
Oh,
to
she used
say.
to not be crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
happened?
Pow wow chow.
She got elected to Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know Pow Wow is now like a bad thing? Like you can't say Pow Wow,
it's
but she has a
definitely-
book called Pow Wow Chow.
Definitely racist.
Okay, so I have an issue. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sound like a socialist for 3 minutes, but
You've already sounded like a socialist earlier.
Listen to me, because I utterly condemn
This wasn't
socialism.
your stuff.
because you would be gone.
You would be gone.
Well, it's not
'Cause
my stuff;
socialism-
it's our stuff. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
now it's ours.
So socialism, it's utterly condemnable because it centralizes power. But I will argue that capitalism has a problem. And when capitalism has a problem, it's this: not that there are too many capitalists, but that there always ends up being too few people who own capital. So look at the current world we're living in. How many people control the majority of the means of production in our country?
Like 5.
Like 5 companies own everything. And we talk about free market, we talk
Monopolies.
about competition, we talk about all of those things. But when you go to Kroger, how many of those brands are actually competing? Almost none.
Not that many. Yeah.
Not that many. Kroger either owns or has a deep investment in most of the companies you're buying. And what seems like a free market actually isn't. It's a monopolized instance. It's not a vertical monopoly, but it is.
It was the same issue.
It is a vertical monopoly.
It was the
sorry, not
same
horizontal.
issue.
Wealth distribution
Well,
to one person.
No, it's the same issue of the Banana Republic because you had, basically there was these guys that discovered bananas in like the Caribbean and South America, and they figured out, there was all these companies, and then they were just exporting bananas like no one else's business, and then all these companies united and basically became the United Fruit Company that had this monopoly control over this multi-billion-dollar business. And that's one of the reasons why we have the Panama Canal and how that, so with United Fruit Company, it's interesting to say because, I'm all for capitalism. And to your point, it's like when you have a monopoly, that's where it becomes dangerous because now you have this, you have a company that is like part of the Banana Republic story is that there's this guy or there was this company created fake news outlets in South America to overthrow freaking of democratically elected presidents because they were causing issues for the company that had monopoly control over a freaking commodity like banana.
Well, what do you think is happening with
that's
corporate
true.
lobbying in the United States? Harvard, before they were crazy, in like 2012, did a study on the function of our government and found that it functions like an oligarchy because of lobbying in Congress. So here's what I want to
Part of the
pose.
reason why I think lobbying should be illegal.
I absolutely agree. I think
100%.
so. My vision is this. My vision is what I would call an ownership economy. I think. Here's the thing. I am not a socialist. You know why? I think private property is a basic human right. Inalienable, irrevocable, God-given. I think we have responsibility to use the things we have to take care of others. But I think that private property is a God-given right. I absolutely do.
One of the reasons
you should own your stuff.
One of the reasons why Bitcoin hasn't been made illegal is because in the fabric of our DNA as a country in the United States is property rights. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So property rights. And I think this.
But
I
you
think
will own nothing and be happy.
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting. Good.
Oh my God! Alcohol touched me.
Baptized.
Steven's not
I need to
drinking,
drink.
So
I need a drink.
Chug.
Anyways, I think private property is an inalienable human right. And here's the thing. I think that we should have an ownership economy where everybody... So here's the thing. In socialism, everybody owns everything, which actually means everybody owns nothing and the government owns everything. And that's despotic and evil every time, right? Unregulated capitalism, I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about the early 1900s, meant the same thing with more steps. It meant that a few companies, the Rockefellers, for instance, could own everything, and their average worker owned nothing. They made cents on the dollar. They started working at 4 years old. They got their arms chopped off in machines. Unions originally were actually a really good thing because workers have labor, which is a valuable thing. And the pre-regulation era capitalists took advantage of that to such a degree that it was devaluing their humanity. And it actually was, I think, to some degree, the conservatives who wanted regulation on capitalism for that reason. All that to say that unregulated capitalism eventually leads to the same thing as socialism. That's a few people controlling everything you do. We're headed there right now. We have Amazon, we have Facebook, we have Microsoft, we have Apple. They own such a large portion of our economy. It's ridiculous. They control the devices we all use, the way we spread information.
Alphabet.
And I was going to say, and if it's not the tech companies, it's the It's
food companies.
It's the food companies. If it's not the
Kroger.
food companies, it's the entertainment companies. If it's not the entertainment companies, it's the pharmaceutical companies. There's like 12 companies that control everything that is your life, which means that you going out and doing a really valuable service don't actually own the means of your own income.
So what is the form of capitalism, I guess, and I guess this is more of an ideological conversation now, but like what's the form of capitalism that is not socialism, that isn't centralized control, that understands the God-given rights of property ownership, but then also looks at something like in the book of Matthew where Jesus said the love of money is the root of all evil, because that's where it really stems from.
I would say it needs a new name, and I would call it localism. So I think the single most important principle of governance outside of charity is subsidiarity. Everything should be governed as local as possible until
That's
necessary.
federalism.
That is federalism.
Yeah.
The Anti-Federalist Papers, let's go, boys. Like, let's be a union of self-governed people that have federal oversight only when absolutely necessary, including military, right?
That's about it. I'm a little confused. You said that's federalism, but I mean, one of the things that
anti-federalist. Is that what confused you?
Yeah, it's confusing.
Federalism it's a misconception, but federalism is let's control, like how the best way to, so as localized, so the more localized it is, the more control. So like the entity that has the most control over your life is your family, and then it's your city, and then it's your county, and then it's your state, and then it's the federal government.
I'm sorry, when you say federalism, I go to
I think you mean confederate. It's a confederacy, meaning it's a federalism of a bunch of units. Is that what I think? Well, maybe I don't know. Let me look.
So when you say federalism, I automatically think of the Civil War, because as much as the Civil War was about slavery, I mean, there was a quote from Custer. Yeah, Custer. So he said that I am a Virginian first, then an American. And so part of the Civil War, I mean...
David's right. Yeah, David's right. That is federalism.
What is federalism?
What he and I are both talking about is properly called federalism.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Which
it's
different
nothing
than
to do...
confederalism.
So
no,
it's
different.
So we should be Coloradans?
Well, I mean,
Before we
sort
are
of. I don't really identify. I mean, I identify as an American first.
So
I identify as an Arizonan, then a Coloradan.
Okay,
then
so
an American.
to clear this up, to clear this up,
he,
a confederacy is sovereign states that are working together, which is what the Confederates wanted. They wanted Virginia to be a sovereign state that worked with the Union of States. Federalism is the idea that we have a federal union, but the states govern first, meaning it's top down. That's
what it's supposed to be, but it's not.
That is what it's supposed to be. So,
but the problem is,
yeah. So let me. Subsidiarity is the single most important principle of governance. So yes, your family first, then your community, meaning like Montrose city government should be more important to us than what happens in the presidency most days of our life. But it's not that way. The other thing is this: ownership and supply chains should also be local. They should be.
The only issue I would have with that is the single commodity that is the hot topic on the Western Slope, which is water. Because if everything is done locally, then Blue Mesa Reservoir should be filled to the effing brim right now.
I agree with you.
But we're sending that all to the lower basin states.
No, it's California.
Well, it's California, Arizona, Nevada.
It's
Arizona,
Vegas.
New Mexico,
Nevada's,
but Utah is part of the. Utah and Colorado, I think, are part of the.
In a localist society, that would
have
never
happened. You want to know
happened.
what's funny is we actually get it first.
That's true.
We do.
So in the
Montrose wasn't supposed to have that water either.
We're not supposed to, but we get it first because we're here. So we actually get it before we pass it down.
Yeah, but
nobody
why?
else in
I
the
call
state
BS on that, because why is it that I talk to clients that are ranchers and ranchers from all over the area?
They complain about water all the time.
Yeah, but
rightfully so.
But
why aren't those guys getting all the water that they need or want before we send it down to Arizona?
We get all that we need. I said we get it first.
Who is we? Are
Montrose
we talking?
County.
Montrose County gets it first.
Okay,
That's true.
That's
we do get it
spread
first.
between everyone in Montrose County.
Yes.
We get the water first, and then it goes to California. I didn't say we get a lot. We get first.
Yeah.
So if we're in a drought and we need it, we actually get dibs first, and then
and that's about to happen. By the way, that's about to happen to where we're going to take first, and then everyone's not going to get it. If we continue on the current pattern for 5 years,
my question is how much longer can At what point do we pull guns and put armed guards around Blue Mesa Reservoir until
That is a discussion we will not have on YouTube, but I will have that discussion with you. So localized supply chains.
Anyway, go ahead.
This isn't possible to everything, right? So like if you export silk and I don't have silk, I'm going to need to import things. So we can have exports. And I'm not saying we can have as in someone's going to regulate
Honestly,
this.
we don't have avocados.
Yeah, we don't have avocados here. So if you want avocados, you're going to have to import them. But here's the thing.
God damn it.
Why is it that most of the beef that I buy in my local grocery store isn't local? You know what's weird about global supply chains? Okay, let me ask you, what's cheaper? To buy a coffee cup from Utah that's shipped here in 4 hours, or to buy the same coffee cup stolen from China and shipped here? What's cheaper?
Probably China.
The Chinese one. Do you know why it's cheaper?
Because of the mailing thing.
Because the Universal
Because of
Postal
stamps.
Society and
It's
the United
stamps.
Nations has fixed shipping rates to incentivize economic trade, therefore subsidizing shipping rates with our tax dollars, making it cheaper for some Chinese rip-off intellectual property stealing factory to sell it and ship it here than someone in my neighborhood.
You know why that
Factories with little safety nets around the building to keep people from killing themselves.
Yeah, very
no,
inhumane.
Those are
Do we put death pods over there?
Right. Yeah.
No, those are
Instead of safety nets.
Right.
Those aren't safety nets. They're trampolines.
They're trampolines.
You jump out and bounce back in to get fresh air. Get it right.
Sorry.
But it's a principle. Correct me if I'm wrong. One principle in economics is there's a certain amount of monopoly
That's okay.
that's better, that actually benefits the consumer.
There's what's
Like,
called
at a certain
a
point.
regulated monopoly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
your utility company would be an example
right,
of
right.
that.
Yeah, energy, because everyone needs it.
Worst.
Water.
That's the worst, though.
But I would argue
Yeah.
like paper cups are an example of something that might be better because it can be produced so much cheaper in China
Sure.
and then shipped over. Like, it's better that comes from there than from
What do you
Utah.
No, but
What
the-
do you mean
the
by
prob-
better?
the
Well,
problem with
better
that-
in the sense that
Better for who?
for China.
better for everybody.
How?
Better for everybody
better for
because
It fuels
Because
China's economy, but
it
it's
fuels-
cheaper for us.
it's cheaper for us,
But that doesn't benefit us.
but it's also it,
makes it
it
worse.
provides jobs in China.
Yeah, but why do
Where-
we care?
from a consumer
Yeah.
consumer perspective, like
do
if
you
I'm
want
buying the
jobs in
cups,
China?
it's cheap.
Why do I
It's
care about
better
jobs in
because it's
China?
cheaper. But as far as local economy is concerned, but I mean, there's so many different, and I feel like, you know, not trying to get political, but like Trump was trying to de-leverage all the crap that was happening, but then
Yes.
he, you know, this is part of the reason why I believe in a deep dark state, because they're basically like, nope.
Oh, we're
you're-
so canceled.
Well, okay,
I
so
know.
so the whole point of
Illuminati is real.
making, international trade, or not
International.
trade. I think I just heard someone talk about this. Was we wanted to make sure we never got nuked. And we never got into wars with these countries. So what we did was we created the supply
We became very
chain.
codependent with
we
them.
need
Oh
so
my
we
God.
need them and they need us and they need us and we need them, and so now we have this chain that
China
if
doesn't
they
need
hurt-
us,
Why
though.
don't we just give
yes
people?
they do.
Why don't we just?
China does need us.
For what?
They absolutely need us because they
buy all their
create
crap.
products.
China's
we buy all
broke.
their crap.
China's broke.
China
if
is
it
broke.
wasn't for
Oh, you're right.
us-
Yeah, you're right. No,
If
no,
it wasn't
fair.
for us, they couldn't fund any of their stuff.
Yeah.
So we have this endless cycle, and they did this on purpose. It was Reagan, I think, who
Yeah.
did this.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
They did it on purpose so that we would build up China, thinking they'd become capitalist. But what they did was they took the capitalist.
They
things
turned
and
capitalism
flipped
into
them an even
communism.
better
Yeah,
communism. So no,
annoying.
But they created this chain that we all need each other.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
if we kill each other, we screw everybody over.
Which goes
So
back
we-
to the birth rate, because all of those nations you just mentioned have less than 2 birth rate. So if
Well,
we
that's
go
what I'm
into a
saying, but we're
war,
also
we
going
can't.
down.
We'll lose.
So like with so, and kind of to your point, like I knew a guy, you know, years ago that I used to work with, and he was saying about how so like economics. So most recently, Biden was talking to Vladimir Putin and was basically threatening economic sanctions because if they decided to invade
And
Ukraine.
troops.
But the thing is that as unsexy as sanctions are, they are kind of they're kind of a big. As much as I would love to just military complex like invade a nation, as like gun-ho American as that sounds, economic sanctions have a lot of leeway because, like you said, everyone has their hands in each other's pants so much that if one pulls
Everyone's
out,
jerking each other off.
that's the point.
It's who's gonna.
We're all holding each other accountable.
Yeah, who's coming first? It's like
It's just mutual blackmail at that point.
Exactly.
It's not an effective way of building a stable world
look
economy.
at all these companies now that they can go to all these other countries to build.
Well,
stuff.
Taiwan
Semiconductors. Look at all
Semiconductors.
them doing that.
Taiwan Semiconductors is
That's the one that
I don't.
scares me.
Oh,
Taiwan
you said that.
Semiconductors
Yeah.
building a
I know,
factory
I
in
don't,
Phoenix.
though.
Well, no, the fact that that's a really positive thing is semiconductors being produced in Arizona and Texas.
in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of in Taiwan,
Because then we're not.
because China is
they
all
invade
about
Taiwan,
Taiwan.
yeah.
And right now
yeah.
have this crisis where we can't get stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, if we could build it here, and
Yeah.
what if we built stuff here, and only, like you said, what we can't do, that's what we rely on.
Yes.
Because we're not the
If
only
you
country
don't
that
physically
has that
have the
problem.
resources, that's the
Yeah.
only time you should export.
Because we're not the only country with this problem.
The only concern I have as far as the semiconductors is that it takes a shit ton of water to manufacture.
Desalination, bro. Invest in it now.
D said what?
Desalination.
What is that?
Take the salt
getting
out,
the
bro.
salt out
Oh,
of the
yeah.
water.
Seawater.
But
yeah.
isn't that expensive enough? Because why
yeah,
is it
it's not cheap.
That's the
expensive
point
now.
with California. It's like you got a whole ocean, but
Put
you
up
have
some
to pay a
nuclear
bunch of money.
power
To
It is
do that.
expensive. Yes, David. Nuclear. Why aren't we doing?
No, we are. We are. Guess what's going in Wyoming?
Well, it's because it's
Nuclear power plant.
Wyoming.
Isn't it? Did
No, but
I
I'm
hear
just saying,
something? Did
what's
I hear
going in
something?
nu- it's-
Hold on. Did I hear something about Bill Gates like building a nuclear plant or doing something with nuclear?
I don't know.
I don't know. He also wants to block the sun, so I just.
Simpsons did
He's
it.
just- Okay, to continue my tirade of absolute localism.
I have a problem with this.
With
That's what I
localism
want- I have the one problem with localism.
What is it?
Cities.
is cities. What about them? They can't do
It's
shit
what's-
for themselves.
Exactly. That's the problem.
We weren't designed to live
No,
in a
but
chicken
that's what
coop,
I'm
bro.
saying. That's the problem. We've already created these things that are unsustainable.
Well, what
and
if-
yet, because if we go local, the problem
Maybe
will
regionalism
always-
is a little more
That's the
practical.
problem
at the moment,
because
but
the way we are built right now is the reason Colorado sucks is because of Denver.
Yeah. 50%.
that was like a solemn response in church.
Yeah.
The reason Colorado sucks, everyone. Denver.
No, but it's true.
50. So fun fact: Arizona. I think at least 50% of the vote or the weight of the vote in that state comes from one county in Maricopa County,
Which
where
is why the
Phoenix
electoral
is.
vote was a
Phoenix.
thing to
It's
prevent
the
that
same
from
as
happening.
Colorado.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening here is okay. We go local. We go. We want to get to that point, but then we have this thing that when
Right.
we go to them, they hate everything that is outside of their
So,
realm.
which goes back to my original point. When do we put guards around Blue Mesa Reservoir
So-
and tell them to go piss up a creek
Ownership
for our
economy.
water?
Ownership economy.
But-
so
Yes, but we're in a problem.
the thing you don't like about cities is the fact that the cities we build have been cultivated to be the opposite of an ownership economy.
No, it's
the
rentals.
percentage of people
Everything
who
is
own their
rental.
property in cities is very few. They rent.
they
people
own
who
all
own
the
businesses.
buildings.
Can you pull
very
me up
few,
the
they
data
rent.
on that? Like, what's the percentage of home ownership?
that would be
in like
really,
Denver?
really
Do you
interesting.
have
know
that?
Denver
I don't have it
is-
like in my brain, but we could maybe
It's-
find it.
It's probably high because Denver's had
Denver's not bad.
so many people moving in from California and Texas.
Well, no,
And while all those people are
you
moving
guys
to places
no,
like
sorry,
this.
you
Like
guys are
Montrose.
thinking you got to look in Denver City, not Denver suburbs.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
not Westminster and
No, when you look up Denver, look up
Like Denver proper.
Denver, the city, and look
like
at
that's what I'm
who-
saying. Not Westminster
Yeah,
or
no.
Arvada. Or,
Yeah, that's different. I would look up Denver itself because it's mostly, I want to say it's mostly rentals, and it's mostly
Yeah.
low income. And when it's low income, that's rentals, right?
That's
And
drugs.
because that's what they're drugs. Oh, to skew over to drugs, but
when
like
are we ever
they're-
going to talk about drugs?
because they are what they're trying to do, not in Denver necessarily, but in big cities, is they're trying to bring in what is it called? The homes. Well, I just said the word and I can't remember.
the apartments.
Like low income. They're
Low
trying to take
income
low
housing.
income and bring it into suburbs.
Yeah.
But the thing about suburbs is most people from the suburbs probably came from the low income and they finally made enough to get out of it. But now they're trying to bring it.
It's the white flight that's happening.
Yeah.
And it's keep getting wider
Yep.
and wider.
And but
Right.
they're like, no, we want to bring you back, and it's like so they expand it. So they're buying
So
up
I
everything.
noticed. So so like before I left Phoenix, moving here.
So
like,
I just looked it up. In 2018, at least 40% of people in Denver are renting, and if you look at the people that own, it's largely older people who bought their homes when they were cheap.
Yeah.
So the rental population is going to be the continuing population.
The millennials.
I would assume that that's true for most cities.
Well, because it's going to
Probably.
get too expensive to buy.
Right.
them.
Yeah.
This is my point, and I don't just mean about where you live. I mean about what you do for a living too. So, I own my own company. I do well for myself because all of this stuff behind me, this is what makes me money, and I own it. I do with it what I please, and what I do with it is what benefits my customers the most. The whole demand, like the whole idea of what people say is what makes capitalism work, which is being actually altruistic
boss.
with your own boss. That only happens if you own it. But if someone else owns it and they employ 90% of your city, then you actually don't have a say, which is what unions tried to fix. But the reality is this: like let's I have this I have one I guess like Dunkin' Donuts versus Montrose Donuts, right? We have the local donut shop. This is the picture I'll draw for you.
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts. How much do you guys think? Do you know how much it costs to open a Dunkin' Donuts
Oh, I'm
franchise?
probably sure it's a lot of money.
20 grand.
No,
30,
no,
300.
40.
no. $800,000.
Jeez, H,
Over
Virgin
50.
Mary.
Over 50% of it liquid capital.
It only costs like 15 grand to open a Subway.
Yeah, Subway's cheap, but Subway the overarching company has
Next
more
to
control.
Pods and gas station.
So
man.
Dunkin' Donuts.
We're gonna be rich.
Do you know how much the average
we're gonna
wage
keep
of a
filling
general
on.
manager at a Dunkin' Donuts who actually does all the work of marketing and running the store is? You know what the average wage is?
Probably less
40,
than 100,000.
$15 an hour.
12.
42.
Like 30,000, like 35,000,
Wow,
40,000.
that's it.
So like
Yeah.
$13 an hour.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And the average employee gets minimum wage barely.
Yeah.
Montrose Donuts, I don't know what they make, but
Oh,
here's
they-
the thing.
They make bomb stuff.
They make really good donuts.
I work across the street. We'll
Right.
we'll do like we'll
Wait.
go over there and get like for the office. We'll just get like boba teas.
I
and
meant in
stuff.
terms of money, not
There's
in terms
a
of donuts.
Montrose.
Oh, okay, never mind. They make good donuts. Just saying,
So
they're veteran owned.
here's the
too.
thing.
Did you not know about it?
That donut shop.
Oh, I didn't know
That
about
donut
this.
shop.
Oh,
who
it's
is the general manager, so to speak, of that donut shop?
owner.
They're also the owner. Okay,
Jeff.
is that his name? I don't know.
You were
It's
asking.
I know it's a
Isn't it a
family.
family?
It's a family,
It's
which
a
is
veteran
great.
owned. It's a veteran owned.
It's a veteran.
company, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh my god, I
So
love
what?
this
Jeff the
demonstration. Just got
veteran.
so much better.
The guy that or the husband that owns or partly however they own it is a Marine. So I got
Jeff the
mad
Marine
respect for him.
husband veteran.
So the most
Nice
American
slinging
person
donuts.
ever
Yes.
started a business. You
his
can
wife
take
is in-
every general manager at Dunkin' Donuts, and if you gave them a Montrose Donuts, they go from making 30 grand to potentially 100 grand and being able to provide for their whole family. And if they're generous, they can pay their employees more and offer tips and things like that. And the rate of the employee can be a little more competitive. A lot of
I
times,
would-
small businesses will pay better.
I would want to keep in mind the inflationary issue when you have
Sure.
rising wages, but that's a whole other problem that needs
But
to be
that's-
solved on
that's-
its own.
That's different when you actually make enough to
Correct.
Like, there's a difference
Right.
between
If you have enough
forcing
profit to do
people-
it
like, what's
without
going on
raising
right
the prices.
now is people are forcing people back to work by increasing, like, oh, I'm gonna pay you this, and they go, well, I can
Incentivizing.
go over here and get a signing bonus.
No,
and
so what's happening is that they don't want to go back to those old jobs. They want to work from home.
Well,
they
that's what I'm
want they
saying,
want
but-
the ping pong table. They want the
But they're
bar on
increasing-
They want to
Friday.
own nothing and be happy.
But they're
Yeah.
increasing the price because now people have to compete over it. Where
Yeah.
instead, before all the crap, if you made enough to then pay your employees more,
Right.
When we took the payroll taxes bullshit, but to get into anything, like when someone in the past made it cheaper to pay pay taxes. What was it he did? Trump.
Oh, the tax break for businesses.
Yeah.
So that way
So
can pay
they
more
could
business.
pay their employees more money, so they
Which
made
actually
more money
works.
because then they could pay their employees more money. I know some people took advantage of that, but a lot of small businesses were like, "Hey,
Fun fact.
helped.
So fun fact, when I was in the IT industry, I worked at U-Haul's corporate office in downtown Phoenix, and I remember Trump passed the tax laws made it easier so basically we got the whole company got a mass email. Everyone in the corporate office got a mass email from our CEO saying, Joe Schoen, and he was like, hey, Trump did this, we're gonna give everybody an extra, I think it was like $1,600, something like that. Like,
That's
it was just a random bonus check.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool.
So this is my master plan. We know that localized supply chains are just healthier. And I mean that in every sense of the word. It affords greater profitability, which affords wage increases without inflation necessarily, without inflating the economy, because it's from profit, not from increasing costs, so that you don't lose out on your profit or printing money. I think primarily this is a culture change thing. And honestly, to get environmentalist for a second, if we're really concerned about the environment, I'm going to curse one time. Why the fuck is it cheaper to ship a cup from China than from Utah? Yeah. Do you know how environmentally unfriendly shipping something from China is? Jeez, good lord. It's stupid.
There's a saying in the finance industry, do as I do, not as I say.
Yeah. So here's what should happen. Everyone should shop as local as possible. What? I did. I said it. YouTube would cancel. If they cancel me over the fuck word, then we deserve to go.
Drew's a bad person.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
I've
a bad
said
person.
fuck like 6 times.
I know. I was just making a point. The government
never
should
said fuck
incentivize small business ownership over large corporate ownership.
Yeah, but you small business people aren't giving enough lobbying dollars to Congress.
That's
lobbying
true.
should be illegal.
I agree.
I agree, Drew.
Unless it has to do with guns.
As long as there's a way for, like, okay, say Dunkin' Donuts does business in a way that makes them so much more profitable while not sacrificing quality over a local place, the local place should die. I mean, it's kind of.
But didn't
economic-
Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah, if
start
you're not
out as
serving
the
your
local
customers-
place?
Well,
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is all
or if-
these companies started out
Doesn't
as local
Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts
companies.
start
They
as
just grew
freaking
so
north,
big.
Right.
northeast?
If
It
there's-
was the local company.
Yeah, if they're doing business poorly, like they should.
So
they
I
should-
don't get.
I don't.
be
So
forced
here's the
out.
thing.
Well,
Dunkin'
that's
Donuts-
fair. That's
Okay,
going to happen
but this
naturally
is what
anyways.
this is how it works. Is there's regions. So when you buy Dunkin' Donuts, you buy a region of area that you get to
Right.
put
Yeah.
your store. Mm-hmm. I kind of disagree with that to a point. I think if you buy it, you should own it where you
Exactly.
live,
Why
and
does a
you run it.
corporation get to dictate that?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. What I'm encouraging is entrepreneurial genius, which is the pivotal investment of any localized economy. So Montrose is we'll see how it plays out. But with the Colorado Outdoor stuff, they're encouraging this because they're going after manufacturing companies that bring really good products and really high wages, which brings money that gets spent in our economy. And those entrepreneurs are people who are going out in ways that are fine. They're producing things that can't be produced necessarily anywhere else, which is somewhat due to copyright, somewhat due to just knowledge and innovation. And they're making money from elsewhere and bringing it here.
Yeah.
The problem with most small towns and most cities, frankly, is that is every business is exporting that money, exporting the profit of the company somewhere else and robbing it of the local community. We need to innovate locally so that entrepreneurship and innovation is encouraged locally. So if you have a shitty donut shop, that donut shop should fail. And the guy who starts the next one should learn from it and innovate. And there should be incentives to innovate and be a better donut shop because that creates a better product and brings more capital to
Right.
The
local
problem
society.
is the problem is that when you get ladies like Janet Yellen that say we need a global corporate tax because
so she can run everything.
that will disincentivize people from moving their companies out of America going to or manufacturing out of
Oh,
America.
it's never
into
done
China.
that. Stupid.
Right. So
It's stupid.
That is stupid.
Yeah,
That's my localist rant. That's it. It sounds like see how when I say
we're going to
just
talk about
wages,
drugs.
I'm with you.
I feel like I'm on drugs, man. That's why.
Franchisees make. I mean, they make local money too. Like
That's
just
true.
because they send a
That's true.
small percentage to the.
Well, that's what
franchise.
I would say it's better if they were completely owned.
It depends
I
on the
would
company.
argue because there are companies here that, the companies here in Montrose and the people that live here and work here earn the money that goes towards our local economy. But you have the owner that lives.
Well, that was what I said.
There's a particular fast food joint here I won't mention that From what I hear, the owner lives in Arizona.
Well, that's.
I don't know if it was. I don't remember if it was Culver's or not. It was.
I'm imagining
I'm
a
pretty sure
franchisee
Dunkin' Donuts
lives
guy
here.
doesn't live here.
Most Dunkin' Donuts franchisees statistically don't live in the place that their franchise.
Well,
operates.
that's.
I don't know about
Yeah,
this
they live
particular
in like
one, but-
Aspen, and you don't see a Dunkin' Donuts.
But
in
even
Aspen, do you?
then, it's
Where
like
is that?
I'd
I've
rather.
never
Well, it's
been.
really funny when you make a shit ton of money from other places and rob
go,
it to
like-
Aspen. You can be at Aspen and go buy local.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Okay,
That's what they do in Telluride.
in
Here's my
I
thing.
know.
Here's my thing from a consumer psychology point.
Or there is.
If I go get a donut, I would rather go to Montrose Donuts.
It's just better.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's better because I know every Dunkin' Donuts, all those donuts are just frozen, and then they get to the location, they throw them in the oven, and then they put them in the display. Here, it's like they make them every single
That's
day.
true.
They're bigger. They're whatever.
Craftsmanship.
Craftsmanship.
Sex
You're
with every
paying.
donut.
You're
my God.
love and caring.
you're paying more most times, but the quality of the
how
product
else do you
that you're
get
getting.
What is the
is better.
glaze made out of? That's what I want.
Van Wilder. Van Wilder.
it's-
You watch Van
it's
Wilder? You know what I'm
laced-
talking
it's
about?
laced with
The
like
dogs and the
CBD
ducks.
or something like that.
So, okay,
Oh, these are delicious.
the problem with large-scale corporatism is the same problem with large government. It's bureaucratic inefficiency. When you have a large system, you create a huge swath of middle management that goes, yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
There's a book.
I'm gonna
there's
need
a-
you to move your desk.
There's a book, something along the lines of bullshit jobs.
Middle
And it's-
management.
Middle is, or well, no. There's this guy wrote this book, and he basically said like, not to get too crazy economic, and I'm trying to remember.
You guys are on the buttons.
Yeah. Not to. Right. Don't touch Steven. Damn it! Don't touch Steven. So like, there's this book, and it talks about like bullshit jobs, and it's basically like all these jobs where literally I'm just sitting at my desk, not being productive, just watching YouTube
Sounds
videos.
like my life.
There's a book. I have to look it up, but basically it talks
Government.
about probably yeah.
I spent 6 hours today in a training class called Integrated Work Control Process Training.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it was
riveting.
I wanted to kill myself. I needed one
If
of
you
those
go
pods.
to Sweden for $20,000,
Yeah,
I'm probably going to hell for that.
No, guys. They've got their death pods. We need our sex pods.
That's in Japan.
Oh,
well,
they do have those.
that's
Actually, they
that's-
have
There's some weird,
shit in
freaky,
Japan.
freaky weird stuff in Japan.
No, but like I'm just saying,
it's
like
sad. No wonder
just
they can't
something
reproduce.
well, yeah, because they'd rather just stick it in a robot.
Oh God.
Well, no, I was thinking, what if
robots.
No, I was gonna say, what if they like, like they're having a kid problem, so like, why don't they like take whatever's in the robots and then go like make artificial kids?
I'm pretty sure that's an episode of Rick and Morty.
It sounds like pregnancy with extra steps.
Well, I was thinking money. Like they
You can't go away for 2 minutes.
They've got their death pods. We make our robot sex pods that they go in and do their thing, with their hands.
Oh,
and-
man.
And it chokes you if you want to be choked.
It's
And for an extra 30, you can die.
it's
30,000.
perfect.
We have been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. I think drugs might have to be for next time.
Okay,
Drugs.
that's
What do you guys
fine.
think?
That's
Yeah.
fair.
All right, Daniel, what's your final verdict on death pods and everything else we talked about?
Devaluing life is not good. There is hope. There are things that you can do to live a life of hope. Yeah, I think it's messed up. It's just stupid. That's my very simple final
What about everything else? Any other final thoughts you want to jam in there?
Giblets.
Giblets.
Jam it in.
About
Jam it in.
Localism or donuts or
Oh, local. I love donuts.
You love donuts.
I
Okay.
love donuts.
Daniel loves donuts and values a culture of life. I agree. Steven.
Oh, I think death is profitable.
Are you describing a circumstantial reality or a world you want to live in?
What if there's a
I'm just trying to
monopoly?
make money,
Is there a monopoly on death? Is it called?
is.
Grim Reaper.
I was gonna say.
I don't want it. Okay. What else?
We can make a circumcision pod.
Oh my gosh.
For babies, you put a baby in there.
No,
Don't put the baby.
alright.
In the
They would
wrong-
sell really
Don't
well.
put
They
the
would
baby-
sell. They would sell really well in the Middle East.
Don't put the baby in the wrong pod.
Man,
Okay.
now we're getting canceled for anti.
What if it was like question 1 and the baby's like, ooh, and it's like, correct.
That's Steven's final thought, apparently. Any other final thoughts that are okay? All right, moving on. David, final thoughts.
I'm stuck on the 7-Eleven
Death.
Like I said, profitable.
vending machine
give
moil
up.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing. No, the death pods. It's the ultimate. That's the final play of Satan in. The,
Oh, you think that's the final one?
it's pretty
It's
close?
getting there.
Oh no!
Like
you think that's it? We can be way more creative, guys.
The glorification,
Steven, marketing
of
manager at Hell over here.
just
Yeah.
just
Oh, Satan should
taking
hire
your
me.
own life as sort of a social good.
yeah,
That's like the ultimate play.
No,
pretty evil.
No.
It's pretty
Yeah.
evil.
So I see it as simply spiritual warfare and nothing else.
Come back.
You
to
already
me.
had your final
No, come
thought.
back to me after
No,
Andrew. Come back.
you-
to me.
Steven apparently gets second breakfast over here. What's your second
And
final
third.
thought? And, no,
Oh.
one more.
I was
What do you
gonna
got?
say, okay,
20 seconds.
No, you say that's the final. No, metaverse.
Oh, you're right. Fuck, he's right.
Live in the pod. Live in a fake reality. Live and die. Never move.
Well,
You hit
it's
the
not
wrong
the
button.
final.
No,
It's,
I'm just saying.
So in Metaverse, the exit lobby button actually just kills you.
You
It's-
think
right.
the-
There's an
No,
anime
my
called
point-
Sword Art Online that kind of already messed
No,
with this
I'm
idea.
just saying you thought the Matrix was fake.
But it is real.
It is
Okay,
super real.
all right. Andrew,
Anybody have
Andrew,
any red pills?
Final
Andrew,
thoughts.
what do you got?
I got nothing.
Give us.
You got
I
no
basically
final
agree with
thoughts?
everything.
Andrew,
I mean,
you've got.
no,
I actually had a
agree.
T-shirt.
I don't
I had
have
that
any
exact
final
same
thoughts.
T-shirt.
Okay.
I want a donut now. That's my phone.
Donut sounds pretty good.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's have. Can we? Donut shops are never open late at night. We should have a 24-hour donut.
Oh,
Crispy.
Oh, that's not a bad
Dude,
idea.
I feel like, but I mean, who's craving donuts in the
Andrew
middle of the night?
with
Apparently,
his
right now.
Who's creaming donuts? guys?
Everybody is.
the smartest thing I've heard tonight. 24-hour donuts.
24
That's the smart, but that already exists.
Where?
Not in Montrose.
exist.
Krispy Kreme used to be 24 hours.
Not in Montrose.
I'm just saying, it's not an original idea.
Oh man, I will say, you know what? One franchise that has my heart is Krispy Kreme.
It's so
I ate a whole.
Too bad they went like
Yeah,
freaking
oh, man.
bankrupt.
You know
so
why they
good.
went? I'm sorry, but you know why they went bankrupt?
Why?
It's because they started selling them to grocery stores.
Oh, that's
That's
stupid.
true.
And what it did is it took the appeal away from Krispy Kreme because
Yeah, because going there and getting it fresh. Yeah,
because
you're
it
right.
melted in your mouth. But when they started selling them to 7-Eleven and King Supers and all the grocery stores, it took the appeal away.
Yeah.
And the appeal was the fresh donut.
I still want a donut.
So tonight's discussion was really about death pods and donuts.
And donuts.
Sugar is a drug. I'll be real with you.
Donuts
Oh,
are
I'm
not,
addicted.
That's a drug.
They could be
not
addicted.
that different from heroin.
I'm
It
addicted
really,
to sugar.
what it does to your brain, it's true. Okay, my final thoughts. What Daniel said, culture of life, and I'm talking tomb to womb, baby. Human value. Don't kill them, whether
Tomb
they're an
to
infant.
womb? Don't you
Womb
mean
to
womb
tomb.
to
That's
tomb?
backwards.
I played it in reverse. I played it in reverse, like Binger in the
I
Convert
thought you were
House Trial. And you
pro-abortion
played it in
for a
reverse.
second.
He's chasing the guy.
I thought it sounded strange, but I wasn't going
Womb
to say
to
anything.
tomb. From the moment you're conceived till you die naturally, you deserve inalienable rights to life. No one should be able to take that from you. If they do, they are, like David said, just shy of satanic, quite frankly. That's my base thought. Cancel me. I don't care. My other thought is localism. I'm going to buy local. I'm going to shop local. I'm going to encourage everyone to start their own small business and reverse the corporatist ownership that we're slowly fading into.
But what if there's a monopoly of whatever it is you're trying to consume locally?
Like what?
I don't know, donuts.
Donuts?
Well,
Start
he has
there's
a good
eating
point.
donuts.
to
One
that,
donut
actually.
shop one donut shop to control them all.
Locally.
I
Stop going to the big cities for your prostitutes. Do it locally.
That cannot be the last thing we say on air.
It's true.
Oh my god! Death pods and prostitutes.
I'm just saying, local. Come on.
Yeah.
Shop.
You have to be
The Despot
consistent.
thing makes me sad. I should
Shop
turn Steven's
local.
Yeah,
mic
it's
off
really-
because he's
it's
making me
really
sad too. Over here.
Oh my god.
All right, guys, that is Guydeas. Thank you for watching. The one person who continually watched the whole thing, Daniel. I'm gonna guess that
Was it
that's
me?
your wife.
I was
Probably
streaming
Jamie.
it.
Anyways, we don't know what we're doing. We're just talking shit and drinking beer. So
Except for me, I don't drink.
Steven's drinking coffee. With
night.
that, we will put up the graphic and we will go home. So thanks for watching. Bye.
Yay, Mexico.